Now, what I did is I selected the top level assembly. But what Vault Manufacturing understands is there's relationships. All that information that was contained in the bill of material shows up in my items. So you can see here I have a long list of items that I'm going to automatically release. You'll also notice they're currently all work in progress. This change order is going to automatically move those from work in progress to released for me, so that I don't have to hunt through the system and find every little piece of information that needs to be released. Again, this is trying to make this a lot quicker and more efficient to release something into your organization. I can also add other information. So maybe there was collateral documentation like customer specifications or other things that I wanted to include in that, and I can very easily just click the Add button and search the Vault for that information. The comments field is where collaboration is going to happen on this initial release, or if this is an ECO, what's being changed. It's also going to contain all the markup data. In this case, I'm just going to add a simple comment here. Put release to manufacturing, and we're just going to say design review meeting. We'll just say that happened on 7/22/09. So in this case, we're just going to pretend that there was already a design review meeting where they went through and evaluated all the drawings and everything was approved. And we'll just say OK to that. Now, other individuals that might be part of this routing, so I'm going to switch over to that real quick. We're going to choose a fast track routing. And you can see over here on the right-hand side, I have different individuals that have different roles and responsibilities. I'm currently logged in as Ed Engineer. So I have the ability to approve. I'm the one who can initiate the change. I'm also responsible for making the changes. But there might be other individuals in your organization that need to be aware of these changes or this initial release. It could be somebody in purchasing, it could be somebody in production, manufacturing, wherever. You would create the roles and responsibilities and assign that to those users. I have the ability to also change the routing on the fly, and we're just going to keep this simple. The other thing is I selected all those items. Well, there's a ton of files that are related to those items. There's drawings, there's assemblies, there's electrical schematics, etc. One of those things that I had done, we'll just organize this here, was we'll just show you the top level assembly just to show you what that looks like here. And you can see that this is a robotic welding assembly, and way down here we have some of the other parts that we had modified. Let me just show you what those drawings look like. So this was that assembly that we created earlier, which was the smaller clamp assembly. Oops, I'm going to go to the drawing, my bad. Okay, you can see there's that smaller clamp assembly drawing. Now when you're selecting drawings inside of the change order, you have the ability to mark that information up. An example of that might be you want to place stamps on those documents. So we're just going to place an approved here. But I could also apply some sort of a markup. Maybe I wanted to reject it for some reason because there was a mistake. So there's different stamps that are associated with this that I can easily apply to the document. I can also apply markups. If there were any changes that needed to be made, I can apply those on here as well. And we'll actually come back and we'll do a markup with some changes. When I save this, it's going to prompt me for some information. I'll just say drawing approved, say OK to that, and now that markup has now been part of my comments area. And if I wanted to view that attachment, I can just select on that. Now, one of the things that's really nice about an engineering change order, or in this case an initial release order, is knowing where the process is for that change. Basically, whose lap is it sitting on? Is it in the reviewer's lap? Is it in the designer's lap? Where is that workflow currently at? And we're in the initial create stage. So what I want to do is I want to move this along, and I want to save this information. Once I save it, I'm now able to submit this into an open state. One of the things that I can do along the way is also add email notification. I don't have that turned on, so it's really not going to do anything, but I can select OK to that. And now what it does is it moves that change order from into an open state. So I want to show you real quick. We selected the top level assembly. If I select the change order now, you can see that there's currently an open change order related to this particular assembly. You also get a little glyph that shows up inside here telling you that it's currently being controlled by a change order. If I hit refresh, if I was part of that routing, Vault Manufacturing is going to notify me that there's currently an active change order associated to some information. And all I have to do is click on that within my work list, and now I can basically come in here and do something that my role is responsible for. In this case, what we want to do is we're just going to fast track it. So we're going to force approval. We're already happy with all the changes, so we're going to go through and we're going to submit and force approval. We'll say OK to that, and now it sits in the approved state. The last thing I want to do is I actually want to release this. And I'm just going to quickly change this to items and show you all the items that are currently work in progress. Well, I want the software to automate that release for me. So all I'm going to do now is respond and set effectivity. And once that happens, it'll pop up with a window here. And now it tells me that, okay, do I want these to be released today, immediately, or do I want to set an effectivity date? In this case, we want everything to be released today. So we're just going to say OK to that. And it's going to move it from the approved state into the closed state here in about a second. It's also evaluating to make sure that there aren't any pending updates. And if there were, it's going to notify me that there's a pending update, and then I would have to perform some sort of action. Now that it's closed, I'm going to hit refresh, and you'll notice now that it's currently gone out of my work list. If I go to any of the items, and I look at maybe the top level assembly or any of these items, it really doesn't matter. That change order information is tracked with any of those items. So now when I go to the change order tab, you can see that it's currently closed. And if I wanted to view that, I would be able to go to that change order. Another thing that it's done is it's automated the release of all my data. I'll just page down here. And you can see everything in my item master is now released. If I try to do any kind of changes to this, and I do a right-click edit, the software's not going to allow me to make that change. And basically, it's telling me it needs to be in work in progress to really make any modifications to that item. So it's controlling my data so that users can't come in here and really make at-will changes. You can also turn on a rule that states that you need to initiate a change order to move items within their lifecycle state. I have that rule off right now, but if I tried to change the state of this to work in progress, it would warn me and tell me you cannot do that. It has to be done through a change order. So now we forgot a couple things. Service came back and said that there were some issues in the field. Basically, we need to add some cable tie clips that they need in the field, and also they want us to add a spare part to this as well. So they're going to initiate the change order here. So now to do that, I just run a new change order, and we're just going to type in some information. SMC.